took me a long time to be honest. And I've said some ugly things to him. I wish I could go back and change. Messing with a man's, whatever ego they have, it's not an easy thing to come back from. But yeah, I don't think he genuinely really loved me, now that I know better. And will this be? Yeah, this will be my first time actually saying that. I'm actually okay with it finally. For a long time, I wasn't. That relationship sucked life out of me. Because I married for forever. I married with the intention to be led, protected. I married thinking he had the mental capacity to lead us as a family and build us as one vessel. And honestly, I think that's really where I lost him. I lost him when we had to do real life. When it was like, okay, there's no more roses all over the place. We're not surrounded by fairy tale life is happening now. God is testing our union, our capabilities. When life started to happen and he has to be responsible for someone other than himself, when he has to think for someone other than himself, when he has to make moves out of respect for someone other than themselves, that's when I lost him. It took me a long time to be honest that I put so much responsibility on him when we got married. Just because all my life I've been having to do it all by myself. I finally thought half of my struggle, my everyday could be evened out with my partner. I'm not in this by myself anymore. You know, I don't have to protect myself. I have a man now. I can be submissive. I could be soft for the first time in my life. And I got too soft. And I let too much slide. I got too submissive. I let too much go for too long. And on top of putting these expectations that I thought would come hand in hand with a husband, it was just too much for him. And then a baby that he didn't want came, put the cherry on top. So.
Okay, so let me just run this back. Okay, Erica Mena is a reality TV star. She was married to another reality TV star, as we all know, as Safari Samuels, and they were married and they had 2 children together, right? So just recently, Erica Mena has been in the under public scrutiny because, one, she, as a Latina woman, she called a Jamaican woman from African descent a monkey in an argument, as well as she just got arrested for some kind of altercation that she had at a nightclub with her homegirl or whatever. And so she is now in this space where she did this interview, and I guess this host allowed her the space to kind of share her real story, her true story, the background of who she is as a person, right? And to be honest, when I saw this interview, it's really sad when you can see what some people go through in life. Like, one of the things that she mentioned is that she was literally born in jail. Like, her mom was in jail when she gave birth to her. And, like, you can hear people's stories and you can understand. And I think that people confuse, you having empathy for a person's situation or where they come from, or, you have a certain amount of understanding to the backstory of what built up a person to be the way that they are. But with all understanding, with all the empathy in the world and with all the sympathy in the world, it does not mean that you will be above reproach. I just think that people have to keep that in mind. And this is not like, a personal dig at her, intricate details or story, but I think that a lot of people, and I would even go a step further and say, I feel that a lot of women, what they do is they kind of try to pull on people's heartstrings. We see women do it all the time. A relationship will break up and a woman will go to other women and tell them a sob story of how hard it is, being a single mother. And they'll start saying, all of these things. And they will paint the picture to make it seem like they're just this innocent vessel that, things have only happened to, and they have no wrongdoings that they've ever committed. And other women, they just be drinking a Kool-Aid. As, our brother Tyree said in the last video. They just, sop it all up because once their emotions, as women, we are naturally more emotional. Once their emotions are in it, then all of a sudden, the guy's the bad guy. He's the person who did wrong. He's our enemy. We're going to X him out. We're part of the sisterhood anyway. So once it's a man that's trying to tell somebody to do something, once we have the fuel to be against a man in any capacity, we're just going to take the knowledge and run with it, whether we know both sides of the story or not. And I think that, let me just start off with the first things that she said in this video. Okay. She first started off on a tangent saying that this man has never married her. He never loved her. I don't know where a man who never loved a woman would go out there, propose, do the whole shebang, knowing there's possibilities that he could be losing, whether it's finances, whether it's being in the home with his children, whatever it is. I don't know men who play around like that. I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying, if we look at a list, I don't see men who step up on the limb and they're constantly, just playing around in marriage. Let's just take it from this point, and then I'm going to play it again so you guys can hear, the rest of the things that she has to say. But if we just take it off of just their track record from before, right? She has been engaged multiple times. I have not seen this man engaged. I don't know if when he was in a relationship with rapper Nicki Minaj, if they were engaged or not, but we have not seen him constantly, play this game of getting engaged and married and stuff like that as we've seen with her. I'm just going to say that. The next thing is that, what I see that a lot of women do, and I want people to not just hear what I'm saying, but and not just, look at it through the scope of just talking about this situation and just in regards to Erica. I think that other women, especially women who are out there who are in relationships, take what I'm hearing for yourself too. Because a lot of people hear me covering a subject and they go directly to the subject. Oh, well, you don't know what's going on with them. We can learn from this experience. This one interview that she did in this conversation, there's so much more that we can expand upon in talking about this conversation. There's so many more details and intricate things that are said. That a lot of women are in spaces right now that they're on the verge of ruining relationships. They're on the verge of getting left. Sometimes women are being clouded by their own delusion and are ruining their own relationships, and they need to wake up and realize that before they get to this space where they be like, oh, wait, my bad. It was actually me. I was tripping. It's ironic, that she says in this, in the beginning of this is that, oh, I didn't get married to get divorced or whatever, but you're the one who filed. But you filed. And it's ironic that a lot of women, they're the ones who push the issues of, well, I got to be married, or I got to get a ring, or I got to do all these things. They do all that, get to the actual marriage, not the wedding, and then they realize that although in their vows they said that they were signing up for an unconditional relationship, then all of a sudden when they get into the marriage, the ring is on and they're in the house, all of a sudden all these conditions come up that if you don't fulfill, as she said just now, my idea of how a husband is supposed to behave, now I got to pull out these conditions because I'm about to leave. I'm not about to do this no more. Oh, I know I said forever, but I'm just kidding because now I'm unhappy. Let's move forward.
I would give anything in the world to change how we ended. And have it not be so bad. Because it's embarrassing to know that I finally gave this person a chance, and I had this magical fairy tale wedding. And here I am, present and ready to be the wife that I know I am very capable of being. And for it to all mean nothing when life isn't peaches and when life isn't, easy. And we got married, pandemic happened. Mm-hmm. So we made it through a lot together, considering very quickly in our marriage. But as things progressed, and I expected him to do what a man's supposed to do, and when it got to a point. He was hurting me so bad, Carlos, that I didn't give a fuck. I was hurting so bad that I wanted to match. And I've said some ugly things to him. And even with that, I wish I could go back and change, just because at the end of the day, was I hurting bad? Was it called for? Probably. But at the same time, this man was my husband. And I should have never used my power to make someone that was, regardless of my husband, feel any less. Because messing with a man's, whatever ego they have, is not an easy thing to come back from.
So this is what I like to call the dance of accountability. Right? Like, this is like the dance of accountability. It's like, I was so wrong and I'm going to take ownership for my part. And then you get hit with the comma but, right? The but is, but it was necessary. But it's okay that I did it because, he did this to me. But I did this. But it's fair and it's valid and it's okay because I had every right to, even though I shouldn't have done it. So it's like accountability on one end and then pointing the blame at somebody else, and that's not how it works. You cannot. The thing is, this is, and I'm very passionate about this because there's so many women that lose relationships with good men, and not only that, they lose the woman that they could evolve to become. Because while she's pointing out his ego and whatever ego men have, it's actually yours that's getting in the way of you fulfilling or being that wife that you said that you feel that you can be. I'm keeping it real. So real. When things don't go your way, you got to, huff and puff and get an attitude and disrespect and da-da-da-da. Oh, well, if you do this, I'm going to go tit for tat. Or if he's a man, he could do it. I could do it too. Oh, once you start putting your femininity down on the ground and you start trying to compete with a man at being a man, the relationship is done. It's over. You blossoming into being the best version of yourself as a woman, as this man's counterpart. You could go ahead and chuck the deuces to that as well. Because the whole point is that when you're in relationships, right? You see, even what she said about the fact that, you know, I gave him a chance and I can't believe I ended up like this. No, I think what happened was is that you thought that you were going to have this person wrapped around your finger because they chased you. That you thought that you were going to be, you know, you were going to be running the show because of the effort that this person got to be with you. But then I think we have to also take into realization that sometimes see me and come live with me is two different things. Sometimes the person who he thought you were, sometimes the representative that you portrayed, sometimes the disrespect that you displayed to everybody else that he never got to because, you know, you were trying to make sure that this relationship went through, that this marriage went through, that, you know, he saw you in a certain light. Sometimes when all that fades and the real you come out talking about, you know, I finally have the opportunity to be soft. I have the opportunity to be submissive. So that opposite person that you've been doing for all this time, that aggressive, masculine, disrespectful, you know, you run the show, you the boss, everybody beneath you bow down. When that come out and he's like, I'm not dealing with that. Instead of saying at that moment, I'm tripping. Let me fix myself. Let me get myself together. Let me back up. Let me chill. Let me make sure I don't ruin this. When a lot of women get to this brink of, you know what? I feel like I'm going to that line. A lot of women trick themselves and be like, I don't care. You know, he can't leave me. He can't do no better. And there should be the opposite reaction. Let me slow down. Let me check myself. I've been single. I've been this. I've been doing things on my own. I've been doing things my own way. And, you know, I want this marriage to work. So, you know what? I'm going to take the L sometimes. Let me apologize first. Oh, please. Y'all like apologize first. No, he better apologize. He a husband now. This is why men don't want to get married. We talk about it all the time. Soon as the ring goes on in your finger, on your finger, something happens in your brain. Oh, you a husband now. You can't talk to me like that. You can't do this. You can't go over there with your friends. You got responsibilities. When y'all was dating, everything he was doing was completely fine with you, and you never complained. When you was engaged and, you know, everything was completely fine, you wasn't complaining. All of a sudden, you're expecting this magic switch to happen. Whoever you are while you guys are dating, that is the person he is signing up for in marriage. The problem is that whoever a lot of the women are in dating, that is only the person that they are trying to be so that they can get married. And then once they do, they're like, oh, finally I could take this mask off. Finally, I could take this off and just be me. Oh, finally, because he locked in and he can't go nowhere. And I just want to say this one little bit before we keep on moving forward. You know, I can't stand when people say, you know, oh, we know God was really testing us in this marriage to see what we're made of. Why do we use our faults, our problems, our traumas, and try to put it on everything else but ourselves? Why can't it just be that you in the thick of it and you got to figure it out? You know, why can't it be that you going through growing pains and you're seeing what you're made of? And let's take it as once those things come up from your past, from your traumas, from your childhood, why don't you look at that as a pivot to be able to change and be the better version? Instead of reverting back and be like, oh, well, you know how I get. Yeah, how you get be leaving you alone. How you get is you know, laying in the bed with the pillows, crying.
But at the same time, I was pushed to the point of beyond hurt. You know, a lot of it was public. The flaunting of women, you know, not helping me financially with the kids, but spending all this money on random women that you're dating for the moment, and the torment, and you know, even brought one on the show, and it was just like, we're not even. I don't understand why I deserved it that bad. Because I love that man. Like, I would have done anything for him.
I want to stop right here. I'm sorry. I'm not going to stop it too much. I think for the rest of the video, I'm going to let it play out. But right here, I really, really want to say something. So, you know, she was saying that about the taunting and this and the other women. I just want to be clear that this is something that a lot of women do as well. You know, they will tell a story about what caused them to be disrespectful, what caused them to, you know, treat their husbands a certain way, what caused them to lash out or whatever. You know, she went really extreme on the internet as far as to, you know, trying to emasculate him, talking about his sexuality, like just very, you know, stuff that has no merit or anything, just wanting to, you know, inflict pain because of her pain. Because of the fact that, you know, she filed for divorce and she thought he was going to fight for her. And he was like, oh, no, cool. This is the problem. A lot of women equate their emotional connection to this man as love. Like, oh, I love you because I'm affectionate with you, because I can't imagine, you know, not being around you, because I care for you, because I want to be with you. But they are loving in the ways of, you know, things, how can I say this? Things that cannot sustain a relationship are the ways that they are showing their love. Because with real love comes a real respect for a person. A lot of women say that oh, I love you, baby. I love you. Oh, yes, babe, I love you. And then when the marriage fails or they be filing for divorce, talking about the spark is gone and all this, you know, people get so confused, and it's because it's a very surface level love. And I don't mean that in any disrespect. Love is something that is even, it's to a point where there's no pride can live there. You cannot say that you love this person and have your pride and your ego and you holding it tight. As a woman. You can't, you talking about, oh, you know, I can be submissive. I can be soft. If you love this person, do you love them enough to tame your tongue? Do you love them enough to close your mouth and be quiet and not have the last word in an argument? Do you love them enough for that? Do you love them enough that when it hurts, when you feel like you are maybe wronged or they're not understanding your point of view, that you can calmly communicate that? Do you love them more than your pride and your ego?
I even sat up there and got us marriage counseling.
You paid for marriage counseling yourself?
Yeah, just to try to save us. Like, once I found out the baby was coming and I knew he wasn't fond of that idea, I knew, like, I have to do something drastic to try to help us, and yeah. But at that point, you know, it's just like, I was pregnant, bed rest, then the baby comes, NICU, he's all over Jamaica. Like, I was just going through it. I was just in so much pain. It built up that, you know, finally towards the end, I just was so ruthless with the things I said. But that was my breaking point, I find, because I was really holding my own. Like, even when he first did the whole post about divorce court with him outside the house and all of that stuff, you know, no matter how embarrassed I was, I was really trying still. Because to me, it's like, reality TV or not, this is my husband. Kurt could have 3 babies on Rashida and make it through. So, I mean, I'm finally okay with it not
working out.
I'm okay with it now. Took me a long time though, because it was like, damn. But my whole thing was like, how the hell was it so good to end so bad? And why the hell did you go this hard for me just to end up doing me like this? That was the whole thing that that was making me sick. And then finally, one day I just had a moment with God, and I just asked him to like help me understand why I'm still caring enough, and then help me to not care anymore.
So I want to say, okay, so first thing, let's go back to when she was saying, the situation of, her having her child that he did not want. You see, I think that whenever you allow people to communicate, and when you allow people to speak long enough, uninterrupted, you get to hear the things that they are not saying, and also you get to read between the lines, right? In the beginning of this, she was saying that, once he had to be responsible for somebody other than himself, she started to see his true colors. She started to see the type of person that he was. She started to see all of these things, right? And while she's saying that, that was after the birth of their first child that they had together. So after the first child that they had together, you started to see that, maybe this is a lot. Maybe this is like, a lot for him to handle. Maybe this is a lot on his plate. This is his first child. It's marriage, baby, all of this. The woman that he is in a relationship with has drastically changed, whether it be hormones, whether it be the real you's coming out. Like, it wasn't like a situation like you're going to take it easy, work on your marriage, and then get pregnant with the second child. And this is something that I said in another video. A lot of women, instead of trying to actually take the time out to fix the problems that you already have, what a lot of people do is say, I'm going to go ahead and get pregnant again. Because this baby's going to fix everything. It's going to change everything. We're going to be so delighted that whatever traumas or problems we have between the two of us, it won't be the focal point, because this baby will be. And then you paint this whole, he didn't want his child, and this is his only son. He didn't want his child. He made sure, he's the one who said he didn't want it. And, I knew once he didn't want that baby and I was going to have it anyway, it was going to be a problem. Trying to make it seem as though this person just walked around out of nowhere, was so in love with you. You guys had no problems, no conflict, no other children. And he just looked at you and was like, how can my wife be pregnant? Why do women do this? Why do we do this, ladies? Why do we say it the way that we internalize it, but we know that the way that we're internalizing it is because of our feelings towards the situation, but it doesn't mean that it's actually the truth of how the story really goes. Why do we do this? Now, from being, an outsider, observer, somebody who sees social media, somebody who sees, the certain things that have gone on, I am not saying that this person is a perfect person. I'm not saying he's the perfect partner. I'm not saying, whatever the situation is, that she is all to blame in a situation. But something very key happened here at the end of this video. She made point to say, she drew reference to another two of her cast members, a man and a woman, who went through, some trying times in the relationship, in which the man in the relationship stepped out on his wife in the relationship. And as she's drawing reference to that, she says, well, if him and her went through so many different things, then me and him can fix these things, because it can't be that bad. One, you're comparing yourself to a situation that you don't have a dog in the fight in. The people in which she's talking about have been together for light years longer than they've been together. That's number one. Number two, the scenario in that situation is the man is in the space of doing the wrong, and the woman is keeping her composure and knowing her place. I hate to break it to you, but there is such a thing called a double standard. There is. And a lot of women know, no matter what the case, no matter what the hurt, no matter what the problem, no matter what the pain, there's this line that I cannot cross with my spouse. '. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Some other women see it from the outside in, and they don't know that that woman has an imaginary line that she can't cross. And you know what they're doing in their house? They start jumping over the line, crossing over the line, thinking, oh, well, we can come back from this because they came back from it. And that woman over there is looking at you like, girl, I never said this type of things that you said to your husband to mine. Oh, I never behaved in the manner that you're behaving to your husband to mine. I never did that. That never happened. Could have never been me. Oh, I would never disrespect him like that. I think, you know, just for conversation's sake, in this whole scenario with Erica Mena and the whole situation that she had with dancehall artist Spice, where she called her a monkey, and even the situation in which, you know, she went to jail recently for an altercation that she had in a nightclub. I think that when we can watch, we can see the patterns. You know, at the end, she's saying, like, she's trying to figure out what, you know, once again, it was God testing the marriage. Now she's trying to ask God, you know, why she even came to this place or why this stuff is happening. And I think sometimes we have to realize that sometimes those old traits, those old traumas, whether it is, you know, something that you could help or not, whether it is something that you were birthed into or not, whatever it is, if we want to grow and if we want to elevate, there are certain things within our own personalities, our own characteristics, our own traumas, our own pain that we have to address to evolve. We have to check it. We have to fix it. We have to work on it. If you're willing. Because of these same traits, this woman that's doing the interview, the marriage is done. She done lost her job. She done been arrested. All because of these untamed traits, trauma, problems, emotions. Ego. We have to be able to learn, and we have to be able to hear without getting defensive, without, you know, putting your arms up, without getting rah-rah. We have to be able to hear. You know, the beautiful thing about relationships and marriages is that it allows both parties to grow and evolve into being the best versions of themselves, because that person is facing you like a mirror. They are showing you you. The innermost things, sometimes the darkest most things that you might try to hide away, they are going to reveal and evoke all of those emotions up out of you. And if you're willing to change, if you're willing to evolve, and if you're willing to grow, it can be the most beautiful experience. If you're not willing to grow, if you're not willing to change, if you're not willing to evolve, it can be the hardest experience for you because you're fighting what's naturally supposed to happen. You're fighting nature. And a lot of women fight nature. And they're like a hamster just running, repeating the same cycle over and over again. Going through so much self-inflicted hurt over and over again. And it might be a hard pill to swallow. It might be hard to hear. You might be upset with me if you know this is you who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just Erica. I'm talking about the people, you know, some women that I see that come in my DM and be like, girl, I feel like you read my mail. Okay, I was a little offended. I have so many women who DM me and like, girl, I'm not going to lie to you. I was a little upset. You know, I wanted to swing on you at first because I felt like you was calling me out, but it's helped me. That's what this is about. I'm not that sister that's going to sit up here and lie to you and tell you what you want to hear and patty cake you and pat you on the back and be like, yeah, girl, do you. Because that's not going to make that hurt go away. I'd like to know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I would love to hear you guys' opinions on this video. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And I will see you guys in the next one. Love you.